Hey guys, how's it going? I had a whole bunch of clips here from doing the Lonesome Road DLC, Fallout New Vegas, and they didn't really go together. So I had this idea. Instead, I'm gonna work and maybe do a little series of short stories. So this first one's kind of impromptu because I didn't really intend on using these clips for that until later. So you'll see I still got the UI up and stuff like that. I don't mind that. I'll try to cut that out in the later installments. In the meantime, this one's kind of based on my main character I've been using. Hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to Mojave. Sit down, son. Stay warm, and we can swap our stories. They're all you got out here when the fighting's done. Have you ever gone very far west of here? Well, I wouldn't recommend it. You won't find much in terms of civilized folk, but you will find a land taken back by the wild. Creatures more ferocious than anywhere found here lie in wait. Seemingly enraged by your presence, they'll push towards you, ignoring bullets and energy blasts alike. Many times, I only made it out of there with my life because I could throw them off their footing with an explosive or well-placed hack of the axe. I've got a bit of a strong arm, you see. Now, I'm not saying that's all there is to that land. You'll find men out there, at least what passes as men these days. I try to be what humans should be, compassionate for the race, willing to hear out another's point of view. Not a violent sociopath, I guess. But I wouldn't recommend this route if you choose to cross the divide. The survivors out there, they're not their former selves, and they're not going to give you the chance to talk your way past them. Pick them off from a distance, or attempt to sneak around. If you do find yourself up close and personal with them, I hope you brought friends. I used to have a little friend up there. Needed help taking care of some business, and I obliged. Apparently that attracted the attention of one man. Claimed I destroyed the world he loved. I had no idea what he was talking about at the time, but he was heading down a path that would have led to many more lives being lost. I had to at least try to talk some sense into him. Oh, by the way, you can call me Jonas. Nice to meet you, friend. Now, I said earlier that I'm not a bad guy, but I had to kill man and beast to get to this stranger. I killed, and I killed some more. I can't even say they were fair fights, sometimes putting them down without a grave from farther than they could have expected. Other times using the very weapons I was trying to stop to blow them halfway back to the Mojave. These weapons were everywhere. The tangled mess of a land was riddled with them, as the sun had sprinkled them down. How they ended up here I wasn't sure. Surely they should have detonated by now. At least they came in handy to clear the road. The end goal may have been righteous, but what I did on the way there certainly was not. I hate to admit it, but at one point, I unknowingly used one of these weapons I was trying to stop on a bigger population. My conscience will always be burdened by this mistake, and the image of that rocket flying away into the distance is forever burned into my mind. I watched it go, realizing what I had done, but unable to do anything to stop it. It was all too late. With this deception, I was beginning to doubt that I'd be able to talk this stranger, who called himself Ulysses, out of his madness. But I was never more determined to stop him. He was more clever than I thought, not a complete maniac, just dedicated to his cause. He robbed me of the only friend I had out here. I think he underestimated me, though, only entrapping him a short distance away. Had to smash a few pots to get to him, but it was worth it in the end. He'd underestimate me again before the end of this adventure. He wasn't really hard to find. He wanted me to come there, so he could exact what he considered his revenge. I tried to talk with him, but it was clear he intended to conclude our meeting with only one of us leaving. Rather than beat around the bush, I brought the fight to him. He was quick and strong. For a moment, I thought I might have taken on too tough a foe, but then I remembered a prod-like weapon I had pilfered off a dead enemy. With it, I was able to get in close to him while he was distracted by my little friend. A regular man would have gone down just to the shock of this rod instantly, but this warrior took enough juice to power a small town. Even the strongest of men are mortal. Although he was a confident man, he had not gone into this fight without a contingency plan. The two weapons he had mentioned in his threats, identical to the ones I had accidentally launched earlier, were set to hit key NCR and Legion areas. I'm not a fan of either group, but they had no stake in this, and they didn't deserve to die for it. Now, not to toot my own horn, but I'm somewhat of a science whiz. Even so, I could only reprogram these weapons to one of the following options. Take out the NCR only, take out the Legion only, or take out both of them. Fortunately for them, my little friend could shut down the whole launch. Unfortunately for him, he would self-destruct in the process. Oh, didn't I mention he's a robot? Well, he is. Sweet little thing too. He wanted me to choose whether he lived or died. I really have a soft spot for my allies, especially when they've seen me through thick and thin. So I honestly considered letting those weapons go do their deed. But this little guy seemed determined to stop them. Like this was his mission all along. It was what he wanted. Sparks were flying. The sparks of pain. And I could see these weapons of war falling apart as he worked to the terminal. He let out one last burst of electricity and disappeared with a flash, his parts strung across the room. I would have stayed longer, but the explosions gave me the impression that I better get out of there if I didn't want my parts strung across the room as well. That land is a place I never intend on going back to, but something about it pulls at me. Perhaps something on the other side is waiting for me to cross it. I might have to give in to it one day, but for now, I'd rather sit here and swap stories. Well, what stories do you have?